Oh, you are welcome to this class. Wait till they hear so. They say Trump don't threaten to drop more bombs on terrorists in Nigeria. Threatened. No say what Trump promised they deliver. He said they'll drop more bomb. Do you know that when Israel said they are ready to assist Nigeria, their high commissioner where in Nigeria don't be interviewed to say they are very, very ready. I will tell you everything for this class. Not only that, the get one repo, one House of Rep member say, he thank God say they capture Maduro, they capture as an illegitimate president. Where rig election. He say make Trump come o, the international community come o, say this 2027. Some people want to ring the election. Make Trump come o. I will tell you everything for this class. We'll start. As you can see, now the news be this. Trump, there will be more missile strikes in Nigeria if attacks on Christians continue. January 9th. 2026, the cable. Punch, Trump warns of more US strikes in Nigeria over killings. BBC, Trump warns of more Nigeria strikes if Christians continue to be killed. This day, Trump warns of further US strikes in Nigeria if they continue to kill Christians. Reuters, Trump says there could be more US strikes in Nigeria. New York Times report. They say this interview, now New York Times now interviewed Trump. Where he talking? We will see what Trump said. He said US may carry out more strikes in Nigeria. He said this thing will happen if they continue to kill Christians. He made a statement in an interview. The exact words, I would love to make it one-time strike. He said a one-time strike, now you want to do what we don't do. You know what do again. But if they continue to kill Christians, it will be a many-time strike. No be only one, no be only two, no be only three, no be only four. He go continue many times. Gumi must not hear this. Where and when he said it. The statement came from an interview with the New York Times. The interview was published on Thursday, yesterday. They asked him about the strike, where they already strike on Christmas Day. Now, when they asked him, he can't talk about more strikes if they continue to fight Christians. Question about Muslim be killed in that same interview. They asked him what he own advisor talk. The advisor talk say Islamic State and Boko Haram kill more Muslims than Christians. Now, the advisor talk. Remember, person like me, my stand be say for middle bed, they buy Christians. You hardly see Muslim where they buy. Now Fulani S-men, now they buy Christians for there. This one are different one entirely. Islamic State, they buy both Christians and Muslims. They call Assam. Your own advisor talk say they buy more Muslims than Christians for Northeast. See what he got to. I think that Muslims are big also in Nigeria. He agreed. But it's mostly Christians. See, it generalized. Generally, not be only Northeast. If you look at who Fulani S-men, they drag them up from their house. Look at the talk with these classes. Now Christians, you hardly see Muslim community. That's sad. We're not talking about ISWAP and Boko Haram now. Even though say they buy plenty Christians. In short, recently they talk say convert to Islam or die for Adamawa. You saw the news, Abi? Okay? Do you know that Israel, they are serious about helping Nigeria to stop terrorism? I don't know whether you say when he greets Christians around the world with this message.
From Jerusalem, I send warm greetings to our Christian friends around the world. I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. From here, the Holy Land, Israel, the only country in the Middle East where the Christian community is thriving. Israel is the only country in the Middle East where Christians can practice their faith with full rights and in total freedom, where Christian pilgrims are embraced with open arms and are so deeply appreciated. The persecution of Christians or members of any religion cannot and must not be tolerated. And Muslim militant displacement and attacks against Christians in Nigeria, that too must end.
And said this while in a press conference with Trump.
And we openly said we want to make sure that the border area right next to our border is safe. We don't have terrorists, we don't have attacks, and we also want to secure our Druze friends. And by the way, I think not only the Druze, but other minorities, especially the Christians, should be protected as well in Syria and throughout the Middle East and in Nigeria.
And this.
There are some people who believe that, that faith should be silent and terrorism should be understood. No. Faith should speak its voice and terrorism should be confronted, not understood, confronted and defeated. I see the battle against us and the battle against our Judeo-Christian tradition. They go to Europe, they go to the United States, they go to Africa, Nigeria. And we are conscious of the fact that Christians are being persecuted across the Middle East, in Syria, in Lebanon, in Nigeria, in Turkey, and beyond. The legal communities who deserve our help, just as you are helping us, we want to help back. And we're capable of doing that. In Africa with Intel, in the Middle East with a lot of means that I won't itemize each one. But this is what our agenda is. It's the main part of our agenda. And it's going to continue with greater force and greater might in this coming year.
He met it too. His High Commissioner when in Nigeria recently, 2 days ago, had an interview in Arise News. The man said anything, so I don't want to talk anything. I will play the video, some of it, make you listen.
Thank you very much for having me.
Happy New Year.
And to you as well.
Let's start with Nigeria and that announcement by Prime Minister Netanyahu of a new Israeli front to protect Christian communities in this country and other parts of Africa. How has it come to this?
Well, I think that what the Prime Minister Netanyahu said, and it was very clear, was that he wants to make sure that all those persecuted around the world, and he highlighted Christians around the world, not only in Nigeria, that it was important to do what Israel can in order to work with our partners, to work with Nigeria, and that's very important. This is about working with Nigeria. This is not about working against Nigeria. It's working with them as a partner, as an ally, and seeing what we can do. And he's emphasised the issue of intelligence sharing and working in that area. And certainly I think that's the area we'll be looking at, to work with the Nigerian government to see where we can work together to stop the attacks that are taking place against Christians, but also against Muslims and against all Nigerians. Our interest is to work with Nigeria to stop all the violence in this country.
I was going to ask you what specific actions Prime Minister Netanyahu proposes to take to protect Christians in Nigeria, but you've kind of answered that. But no unilateral action.
No, absolutely. Our aim is to work with the Nigerian government, and the Prime Minister highlighted issues of intelligence sharing and other areas, and I think that we will be led and guided by the Nigerian government as to where we can work and where we can partner, because this is very much about working with an ally, working with a partner, and doing things to tackle insecurity as a whole within the country.
And I mean, you're obviously Israel is a staunch ally of the United States. I mean, if Mr. Trump was to decide to take some further action in Nigeria unilaterally, what would Israel's response be? I mean, I know it's a hypothetical situation.
Well, it's a hypothetical situation, and two, I think there's probably a better question to ask the American ambassador rather than the Israeli ambassador as to what the...
what would Israel's response be?
Well, in a hypothetical, we'd have to see what the situation was. I couldn't tell you what our response is. What I can tell you is that we want to work with the Nigerian government to see what we can do to help and work with them to tackle insecurity across the country.
And how has the Nigerian government responded to Mr. Netanyahu's statement? I'm wondering if there's been any sort of behind-the-scenes diplomatic communication about this between you and the Tinubu administration?
Any communication behind the scenes will obviously remain behind the scenes. But as I said, Prime Minister Netanyahu has made our position clear, and so anything that we can do in those areas, and obviously when you're dealing with issues of intelligence and when you're issuing of information, it's not something that we're going to talk about publicly, because that would undermine the entire purpose of having a conversation about intelligence sharing, but regardless of what the religion is.
You don't get us. George the way, where Trump threatened.
The Nigerian government continues to allow the killing of Christians. The USA will immediately stop all aid and assistance to Nigeria. We're going to do things to Nigeria that Nigeria is not going to be happy about.
David Otoko, here, promise. Now, I promise and I say, they are ready, they are ready. They are not playing. They promise, they deliver. It will say everything the Nigerian government hand. If they want this assistance, it will be delivered. This rep from Imo State, look at what he said, the guardian. Imo lawmaker urges US action over alleged rigging. Backdrop on Maduro. Now be this. His name might be Ikenga Imo Ubochinyere, member of Nigeria's House of Representatives, represent Ijatu North as South Federal Constituency. He's called to the United States. It also may US and President Trump may they call it a break on Nigeria matter. He said there are plans to undermine Nigerians 2027 elections. He wants American authorities to step in early. If they love Nigeria, may they step in. He also he supports what Trump do for Venezuela. He supported Washington's hardline stance of Venezuela. He described Nicolas Maduro as an illegitimate leader when he bring away into power. He said he supports international actions against leaders where they oppose democracy, where they undermine democracy. He said they can't give them utu as they give Maduro utu. His allegations about Nigeria's 2027 elections. He said he must state now be election rigging machine. He said Nigeria democracy is under serious threat. He said the plan must be exposed and stopped. Indirectly, if Venezuela will shut out, they will not hear them. That's why they know say their president, an illegitimate president. They go capture him. His specific accusations. He accused unnamed actors of planning to manipulate the voters register, bypass beavers, upload fake results to INEC's IREV portal. He said bypassing beavers will destroy election credibility. According to him, he said this time around we are not calling for a visa ban. Grant them visas to travel abroad. I beg, give them visa. Once you give them visa, capture them there. He said when I give them visa, all these election riggers, give them visa, I beg. We don't enter London for their capture them, so they can spend the remainder of their life in prison with Maduro. Let me add that one. When I don't hear so, what do I think? When I drop off comment section, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Thank you.